Farmer Bob here, June 5th. We planted on May 12th, so that was 24 days ago. Let's check the progress of the popcorn. So I know last night it was extremely wet here. We got tons of rain, and how much, I don't actually know. So today I'm going to solve that. I'm tired of really not knowing or keeping stats on any of this. And I can't trust the Weather Service because they cover a large geographic region. I want to know what it is on my farm. So I purchased an ECOWITT weather station, and this is unique because it actually has a SIM card like your cell phone. So it transmits all the weather information via SMS or text. So this is the professional 3G cellular weather station, 7-in-1 integrated sensor made by ECOWITT. So I bought the weather station off of Amazon. I can't remember how much it was, $350, $400, somewhere around there. And then I added a separate line to my cell phone account. So that's really probably more of the expense over time. But I'm okay with that because the cost of getting this information is very cheap when you add all that up compared to the expense that I have in the field. So knowing is better than not knowing. But speaking of the investment I have in the field, how about if we check some corn? So this is the Finney farm. This is 24 days of growth. So as you can see, I'm very pleased with the plants. The planter did a great job. And we have nice straight rows. Thank you, GPS. All the engineers at Garmin and whatnot that make this possible. And John Deere, can't forget them. But it is worth thanking all the hardworking engineers at Garmin and John Deere and whatnot to be able to create equipment that can plant so successfully here very consistently. And that's the key. You know, in our case, we wanted every 6 inches to get a plant population of 30,000. And incidentally, last year we did about 27,000 plants per acre. This year we upped it to 30. I feel like the farm can handle it, and we'll see how that works out. Obviously, we want to produce more pounds per acre, but we don't want to overcrowd. So I think with this variety of popcorn's a much slighter plant than traditional field corn has become. So I think we can get away with it. So every year you kind of learn a little bit more, and it's always a prideful time when you see the plants come up and whatnot. As you see the rows here, the soil in this particular area is a little bit more red. It's got a higher clay content, and it's always a source of pride for straight rows, etc. We're coming around a bend here, that's why. But you could see a lot of the volunteer corn in there too. So the volunteer corn is basically corn that was left in the field from last year's harvest. In this particular farm, we're going corn on corn. Not super awesome or not recommended, but this particular farm, which is new to me, has been planted in a wheat bean rotation for like the last 25 years. So it hasn't experienced a ton of corn. So really the risk that I think you run going corn on corn really isn't nutrient depletion, because you can replace that with fertilizer and whatnot. But what I worry about are the insects, and I don't want to have to spray for them and handle that issue. Of course, I don't want them eating the crop either. So in this case, I think we're going to thread the needle. We're going to get through it without any particular issues, but this is a practice that really can't be repeated. So next year, this field will go into something else, but I do plan on covering or planting a cover crop on this field after we harvest. Like literally, if we harvest September 15th, I want September 16th to be out here planting a cover crop. Probably rye grass based, and then have some tillage radishes put in there, as well as clover. I'll take the advice of people if you want to leave comments if you have any experience with it. But otherwise, I'm going to do more research online and talk to the co-op, etc. But the cover crops will hold the soil, and then also grow a crop that then I could turn the cows into. So we'll just put up hot wire on the north side of this field. The other sides are covered with actual barbed wire to keep the cows out of the field, but we'll open it up to them and let them graze that crop right before we sell them in the fall. So I think it's real smart to try to maximize, just from a financial standpoint, how much you can get out of your farm, but you don't want to hurt it. And the things that I've researched, I'd really like to plant the cover crop. right after we harvest the corn. And that will allow us to have a crop that will hold in the soil. But then I also want to graze the cattle on it. So we have cattle on the 109 acres on this farm, but then we'll move them over into this much more dense, rich, beautiful ryegrass pasture, which was popcorn right before that. And then that will allow the cows to get a really nutritious couple of months before we sell them, so they can pack on some weight. And cattle sold by weight, so we'll make a little bit more money. But then also, while the cover crops are holding in the soil, the cows will eat it, and then poop and pee, so the dung and urine will help to enrich the soil. So that's kind of a win-win in all cases. The soil is kept intact, the cows get fatter, and we keep the nutrients on the surface. But then it also increases the organic matter in the soil. And here on this farm, we have a little bit more clay, so that will never hurt anything to have more organic into this clay. So hopefully it loosens it up, and then it just improves the soil. And so maybe for the rest of my life, I'll just work on that, and every year do a little bit to help it out. So in conclusion, I'll try to pan so you can see in the background all the corn as I go. But I'm super happy to be a popcorn producer. I couldn't be luckier. First week in June, having some beautiful rain as the crops are coming up, and it's hot. You could probably see me sweating. So heat and humidity are great for corn in general. It grows on growing degree days, and the more you have, the better, but you just need that one component of moisture. And so far this year, we've been pretty lucky. We didn't get too much like we got last year. If you were following the channel before, we had so much rain in the spring, and sometimes it wouldn't even dry out, and we'd get even more rain. So it made it very, very difficult to get into the fields. Last year, we planted popcorn on June 2nd. This year, we did it on May 12th, and that is going to be so gigantically different. Now, we did have another field, another 80 acres down the road that we planted. I think it was a week later, but that's okay still. What would that be? May 17th or something like that, or 19th. It's still well within the, well ahead of the June 2nd. It's amazing what 2 weeks can do. And I will tell you, I elected not to plant the last 80 acres. I think it just takes some discipline and restraint to be able to understand that having 3 different plantings can be okay. In some ways, maybe it diversifies the growing cycle. But what I feared is having 3 different levels of moisture. So either having to harvest at 3 different times, but moisture is key to popcorn. So I want to be able to have awesome poppability for my customers. And I think I'd have a tiger by the tail having 3 different moisture levels within the bin. I've got dry down capabilities, but keep in mind, the first to go in the ground is the first that comes out. So you create these sedimentary layers of popcorn inside the bin. And the way you dry it out is to blow this huge fan, gigantic. It goes through the floor, which is perforated. So what does that mean? It dries from the bottom up. So if you put the most dry, which would be the first planted, in first, and every 2 weeks put another layer on there, that if the top layer isn't perfect and where you want it when you put it in the bin, I don't know how you could get it dry without ruining what is at the bottom. So I took what I think is ultimately the wise choice to have less production this year, but because quality is number one. I have to deliver to customers the best poppability, and moisture has a lot to do with that. I'm not sure I've ever really stated this, but my goal in this whole popcorn company is really to have the experience and learn about farming, engage in the things that make us American. And I think that I'm doing a good job at it. I'm having a ton of fun. That's super important. This is a risky business, agriculture, and then also just creating a brand, a food brand. But it's working out so far. I've got a lot of room to grow and a lot of things to learn. But my customers are number one, and I appreciate everybody who has purchased the unpopped kernels. And it might seem small to you, a 1 pounder or 2 pounder here, and you eat it and hopefully with your family on a movie night or something like that. It makes me very happy to bring you joy by producing a food that you like to eat. And your purchase, although small, $10, $15 right around there, it adds up and it makes the farm possible. So I do want to say very sincerely, thank you very much. Please keep buying. If you ever have a quality issue at all, reach out. farmerbob@princetonpopcorn.com. I reply to all the emails myself. And my goal is that you enjoy the popcorn. It's not necessarily to make money. I have to make money to keep the farm going. It's just simple mathematics there. But I'm trying to make people happy here. So do not be shy. Let me know if you have any popping issues. A lot of times I can just work you through it. We have shipped some out that apparently wasn't in the best condition because of various reasons, and the moisture content wasn't correct, which we own that, and we had customers complain. We replaced it. We refunded their money and replaced the product because my goal is to make you happy. So I do want to say thank you very much again for the people who have purchased. I'll thank you in advance for the people who haven't purchased yet, and I hope you have a good day. I'm trying real hard to build a great company and a vertically integrated popcorn company as a first generation farmer. So follow along, get on YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page and go to Instagram. I don't post a ton on Instagram, but Facebook and YouTube are where it's at. So I do need your support. Please like my videos and subscribe. Thank you.